Amazing, amazing work and designs. Welcome everyone to the EOP Salon Showcase for Spring 2022. My name is Kurt Confer, and for to alignment, there's a little delay. Okay, here we go. So welcome. Um, so the Office of Educational Opportunity Programs is presenting this event, EOP, and some people might be joining us where this is a new EOP event for them or a new online FIT event. And just to fill you in, the Office of Educational Opportunity Programs provides college access and support for degree completion. So we are a program that has been in existence ever since the mid-1960s, and we're a model, a national model for other degree college access programs. And there's a lot of things we do, tutoring, extended tutoring services, advising. We offer a 12-week high school enrichment program. Um, we have a CAP program, child care assistance program, and we also have every summer we have a 4-week intensive for pre-freshmen entering FIT or soon to be freshman FIT students. So we are really proud of all of our EOP students. They're achieving amazing things every semester, and our EOP students are known for working at a high level. So thank you again for joining us. Um, and just to briefly say, we wanted to create a salon this year so artists and designers in EOP can have a platform to share their work, talk about their work with the larger FIT community, new dialogues, new relationships, and new ways to have your work reach larger audiences beyond the classroom. So we hope this is an event out of many where you can showcase your work. So basically, tonight I'm going to ask each of our artist designers a couple questions so we can hear more about their ideas behind their work. And we have a variety of students from different majors in the School of Art and Design. Um, some are freshmen, some are seniors, everything from interior design to fine arts. And we have one student from the School of Business and Technology, Damani Bolo, who is fashion business management. So Damani, thank you for representing FBM. Um, so
Eh,
before I ask all my questions, just a reminder, if folks can stay muted, that way we can zero in on one artist designer at a time. And of course, artists and designers, when you're ready to speak, make sure to unmute yourselves. So um, our first designer, Damani Bolo from Fashion Business Management. Hi, Damani.
How you doing? How you
I'm
doing, sir?
good. Good, glad you're here. So, your work, Indigo Providence, really memorable name. I know you started this brand, this line, even before FIT. And can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit of your inspiration, how you started it?
Well, that's kind of like a long story, but it's like a long story short. I always had like a interest for clothes. I didn't really know that it was actually like a career that could actually be monetized. Like nobody around me was into fashion. And then I ended up finding a designer named David Weeks, who was really a huge inspiration for me to show me that like, oh, like being black from New York, there's a possibility to experience way more than what you think is possible. So then I feel like Indigo Providence was that vehicle for me to stay on the path and build.
That's great. And I've seen some of your shoots. You're sort of in different locations, different contexts. Where have your shoots led you? Curious, where have you gone?
Oh my God. So I graduated high school in 2016. That's the same year that I actually started like making garments on my own. In 2017, I had the opportunity to be a part of a pop-up shop in Manhattan called Community 5057. And a stylist named Jason Rembrandt bought my whole collection that day, and I was able to get product placement on Russell Westbrook, Zayn Malik, featured on ASOS, GQ, New York Fashion Week, Harvard University, and these is all opportunities that I'm extremely grateful for, and that's why I decided to come to FIT just to educate myself even more to take it to the next level.
That's great. That's excellent. That sounds like a big moment. That moment where
Uh,
it kind of all came together.
yeah, that I feel like that moment was to me personally was just whatever, if you believe in God or the universe or whatever. I just feel like that was just a sign to show me that it's actually possible. Like this, because that was actually like the biggest paycheck I got to that day than any other jobs I ever got. So that was just a sign to be like, oh no, like this could really work. Like this could really go places.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Damani, for being here.
No problem. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
sure thing. So our next designer is Alexia Mitchell. Hi, Alexia.
Hello.
Um, and this work, the one that you submitted to the salon, um, I'm really struck by the color and your interplay between geometry and color. I know nature, it's important, nature is an important word for you, and I was curious, can you tell us about the link between color and nature for you?
Well, I've used the colors ocean blue and sunset orange to represent spring and summer,
Mm,
and those colors to me seemed more natural and more uh, nature oriented. So that's why I decided to pick those colors for this collection.
That's excellent, excellent. Uh, The other question I had for you was you've also talked about duality as a theme in your work. I definitely see it here, but for you, how does duality function in your designs?
I try to incorporate the concept of duality because I believe that every person has a different side to them that complements them very well. So the
Mm,
colors that you see here are ocean blue and sunset orange. Even though one color is light and the other one's a little bit darker toned, they still complement each other. So that's what duality means.
excellent. And I'm curious, are you keeping with this theme of duality this spring, or are you doing something drastically different?
I'm doing something a little bit different, but it still has the concept if you dig deeper into the my designs. But for my collection that I'm doing now, it's more nature oriented and about clouds and classical music. And yeah,
That's great. Thank you, Alexia. Well done.
thank you.
Our next designer is a fashion design major, Huiling Chen. Hi, Huiling. How are you?
Good.
So your design is really beautiful. I just think it's just a beautiful dress. And last time we talked, um, your design, well, the concept behind it had some cultural significance, cultural influences. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so this is a project from my fourth semester. It is a recycle project, and my inspiration is came from fan. It's part of Chinese traditional culture, and I also thinking about to do something retro, so I do it on in Cheongsang style to make it feminine and express the Chinese style in my way.
And what first drew my eye was the pattern in the middle, the use of the color pink. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you chose that, the choices there?
It's because this is a recycle project. We cannot buy new fabric, so this was the fabric that left from previous semester. So I actually don't have choices about this, so that's why I do it on this color.
Mm. So you're kind of using these limitations or certain parameters you're in to find the variations.
Uh,
Great lesson for an artist or designer. Great work. Thank you, Wheeling.
Thank you.
Our next designer is Maxine Pompey, and Maxine is a fashion design major. And I'm seeing if Maxine is here. Maxine, hello. Although you might be muted. And Maxine did this really colorful design. I wanted to ask her a few questions. This striking design with the Black Lives Matter in the background. So we'll come back to Maxine. Zach Echevarria is a major in film and related media, making documentary films. Hello, Zach.
Hi.
Hi. Um, so this recent film, I know we're looking at a film still of one of your subjects, and you interviewed a bunch of people you know around the topic of mental health. So tell us a little bit more about that process and that concept.
I'm sorry, can you still see the picture?
Right now, I see a blank page. I did see it for a second.
Sure why that happened. Um,
There it is.
so my project last semester was a documentary about mental health. Um, Here, let me just for now, I guess. I don't know why they did that. My project was about mental health. I gathered three of my friends who go through mental health, and um basically I just sat them down and they explained their journey through mental health of each one went through or goes through different kinds.
Mm,
um so one goes through anxiety or depression, etc. um I think it was one of my strongest films that I've made.
mm. And what was that process like? Was it challenging to get them to open up? Um, was this a conversation of many takes, many questions? Curious what that process was like.
No, it was pretty easy talking to them or them opening up to me.
Mm,
um I think I'm a good person to talk to. I'm a good listener, I've been told many times by like people my age, people like older, even little kids. So they were pretty calm and pretty open for what they had to say. It didn't really take that many takes. If I did reschedule, like did a the interview was on my part, like
mhm.
technical stuff. But other than that, they were pretty open.
That's great. And I know documentaries can be challenging. You know, interviewing your subject, it's a whole series of challenges, whether you don't know them at all or if you know them too well. Um, it's challenging research because it can be so intimate and to have someone open up, you know, with the camera rolling. So want to say congrats just for taking on that challenge. The one other question I wanted to ask you is you really thought about lighting for this film. So I know it's hard for folks to know that from a film still, but how did you decide on the lighting?
Yeah. So uh, if if I was able to show the film, it would be more understanding. But for each subject, I chose a color that represented their mental health. So for this person, his was anxiety and fear. So I think fear really is represented through like red.
Hmm.
Another person goes through PTSD. I chose purple, and another person goes through depression. I chose like a teal color. Um, that was I think I've never used lighting at this in this like format, so it was pretty a cool experience to do. I used the school's film studio. Everything was it was just the room was just lit up with that one color, and the rest was just dark. So it was a pretty cool experience.
That's great. I appreciate just the nature of this project. I appreciate your risk taking and taking on a really difficult subject, but one that increasingly needs more and more awareness around it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Zach. All right. Kendra McLean is our next artist, and Kendra is a fine arts major. Hello, Kendra.
Hi, Mr. C,
Hello,
and everyone
welcome.
else. Hi.
So, Kendra, first question, because you're talking to an audience that most likely most of us have not made a monoprint before. So tell us what a monoprint is and how you make one.
So a monoprint is a print which may involve elements that change, where the artist can rework the image in between the impressions or after the print so that there are no two prints that are identical. I cut mine from Durlar, which is like a polyester based film. It's similar to acetate. It's basically just a thin plastic sheet. Um, yeah.
It's
Kind
not
of,
easy.
yeah.
And tell us also your concept behind this image, because you really thought out your imagery, powerful choices. Tell us about that.
So the concept behind this print, they're basically fallopian tubes. I cut out many fallopian tubes and fragmented them because, well, close to my experience as being a Black woman, I within the healthcare system. This isn't a new topic. It's just getting the shine that it deserves in this modern day, I feel. So, yeah, the colors are based on from a woman's first menstrual period called the menarche to her last, which is when she's going through menopause. So
Mhm.
that's what inspired the colors.
Excellent. Is this a work as in singular, or is this part of an ongoing series?
It's definitely an ongoing series. I have about 3 editions right now, including this one, so 4.
Excellent, excellent work, and one
Thank
that
you.
addresses an issue that also needs more awareness, is one that's really urgent right now.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
so thank you for your thoughts.
No problem.
Um, our next artist is Nicole Monegro, who is a fine arts major. Hello, Nicole.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Um, so I know you've been doing a lot of painting this year, and one of the first things that struck me of looking at this painting was your proportion, the scale of the figure in relation to the landscape. Proportion is really, um, you could say exaggerated, but also really poetic. I was wondering if you could tell us about how you arrived at that.
So this is a oil painting, and it is part of a series called Big Girl, Small World, and it's essentially a self-portrait, and it explores the parallels of living in a world that is in reality enormously grand and at the same time so small. So both extremes living in harmony with each other. So it represents how my mind makes the world a small place by making my life so huge and important to me, yet understanding that I'm not the center of the world, um, but I am the center of my life. So it's supposed to represent solitude and independence. That's
Mhm.
why I was playing around with the scale, and it's one painting out of 3 of another 3 that I have. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate, the color palette, how you rendered the figure. It's interesting you use the word solitude, because this particular painting made me think of the difference between isolation and solitude. Um, Isolation can have a negative connotation. Solitude doesn't always have to be negative. Solitude could be positive. So for you, is the figure more in isolation, or are they more just in solitude, reflecting?
I think it's both.
Hmm. It's
Um,
combined in one image.
I'm sorry, it got cut off.
Oh, I was saying for you, isolation and solitude are combined in that image.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
it's like me looking onto my future and thinking about what my life has been so far. Um, yeah, that's why I mainly put it her looking up or myself looking up. And also, I mean, having all of the classes of fine arts and learning scale and all the other things that go into understanding how to draw and paint, I thought I'd play around with all that I've learned. Um, so
That's great. Well done. And I think based on what you're saying, I think you took a lot of technical skills that you were learning and went to the next level into a poetic statement. So well done.
thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Um, our next artist is Samantha Ponce, who is a fine arts major. And Samantha, I also noticed, is also working a lot with the figure this year. So she um, has been taking nude drawing classes and and honing her skills there. So hello, Samantha.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. So many of us in the audience, I'm thinking many of us have not taken a nude drawing class or a figure drawing class where often you're working with a nude model. So briefly tell us what that's like. What are the challenges?
It's actually there's no challenges, I feel. I feel like you just very much walk in there and it's just normal. It's always you don't feel uncomfortable. Personally, I've been doing it for a while in the class that I just walk in and I'm like, okay, whatever. I've seen many different models. I've come across many different people, all very nice and just wanting to do the job. So it's very much like it's very respectful. It's very respectful to space.
Good, good. And I think that safe space, respectful, is key for that to work.
Yeah.
And last time we talked, we talked about the difference between our preconceived notions of bodies or nude
Hmm.
bodies. You know, we have certain assumptions or constructs in our head versus who's actually in front of us. And
Hmm.
can you tell the audience a little bit about that difference or that
Okay.
gap?
There's when it comes to nude bodies, I think many people from the outside coming in feel uncomfortable. Like if they're not artists already who haven't been around it, they come with this idea that this nudity is not okay, that this nudity is very sexualized, that they come in there and they're like, oh my God, I have never seen a body just standing there and just being normal. And I think showing my art in this normalized way makes people realize that it's more than just sex. It's more than just something seen as pleasure, specifically with women.
Mm,
They're more than just normal bodies of people. They're more than just something on the website.
mm.
So that's what
And
I wanted to come across.
And it's interesting, you know, drawing has its own kind of intimacy that when you're studying a nude body in drawing class, you see many variations of kinds of people and kinds of bodies, but you also have to kind of look with a different eye.
Exactly.
So I appreciate what you're saying is, of course, there's media representations out there, um, constructed
Hmm.
representations out there, and then who's actually in front of us is something very different.
Yeah.
Um, so terrific, terrific drawing. Keep going.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Samantha.
No problem.
So our next artist is Sergio Romero, um, doing a lot of painting this year, fine arts major. Welcome, Sergio.
Thank you, Kurt. Good evening.
Good evening. So looking at this painting, I've looked at it before. I know it's a self-portrait, and I was first really struck by you're giving us three heads, three different viewpoints. So tell us a little bit more about your thinking about that. It's pretty unique.
Well, it was inspired by Marcel Duchamp's New Descending the Staircase, and it depicts three typical uh, views for portraits: the profile, the three-quarter, and the full face. And I did them in descending order and realized that the ear from the previous would figure into the forehead of the succeeding figure. Hence, the ears are in my forehead.
Mm.
And I took that to be a metaphor for my musical imagination, my oral learner profile, kind of, and it worked out fine. That's in terms of composition. Formal wise, the colors are just indicative of the rainbow, and the culmination of that in a strong shaft of light above my head. And it's another poetic rendition. We're asked to make many self-portraits in the fine arts curriculum, and this is just one, but it was a great challenge, but it was equally satisfying to complete.
Excellent. And I also appreciate the background. I mean, you're giving us multiple angles. Seeing and hearing are interchangeable in a way.
That's right.
Um, and the background, tell us briefly about the background, because I know there's a certain significance for you there.
There is a significance in the texture depicted in the facets of the cubes. They indicate wood grain, which uh, alludes to my father's history in woodworking, his family history in furniture building in Ecuador, and he built piano cabinets for Sommer pianos, my father. And he had a long history. He's passed away now, but he had a long history with wood,
Mhm.
and he taught me that the love of wood, the different woods, and their properties and their different beauties.
Excellent. Thank you, Sergio, and I appreciate all the layers in the painting and the layers of meaning that come out of that. So thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to share.
I wanted to see if Miss Pompey is here. Um,
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Maxine.
Hi, I apologize for that. I was like in a class and I stepped out now though. Like I'm in the,
Uh, but you
I'm
are
in,
here, and I have two
yes,
questions for you.
yes, I'm
So
sorry.
your design, I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you first about the colors and the patterning, really striking. What were your ideas behind those?
Okay, so I made everything the print from scratch and I kind of just wanted to like recolor this mural. I took this photo, well, I found this photo online and I wanted to take it and like kind of incorporate it into the design at the time. So I recolored it in Photoshop.
Hmm.
And I also added my prints. I made them in Photoshop and I added it in the figures. And so yeah, it was pretty time consuming, but it was cool though. That mural is the Black Lives Matter mural and it was really significant to me. It still is significant to me now, but at the time, I really felt the need to incorporate that in my work.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's great. And I know last time we talked a little bit about that strong relationship of those figures to that background. Tell us a little bit about more about that. For you, why significant?
With, I'm sorry, the figures in the background.
Oh, well, the how the figures relate to the
Oh, by the way,
background.
too,
So the Black Lives Matter. Tell us, I know it was significant for you. Tell us a little bit more about why.
oh, well, the cause. but especially, and the professor had told me at the time not to do it. Like she told me that it was too political, like,
Hmm.
and like just a controversial issue. And I was just like, well, I'm gonna do it anyways because I felt that the need to. Like I felt like it's important that people know like what we go through, what we face. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. So I did it anyways, and yeah, it turned out. I like how it turned out. I mean, I've grown so much since this project because this is a project I've done in the past. So
Thank you, Maxine.
yeah.
And I'll add too, based on our last conversation, we talked about
Mm-hmm.
social consciousness in designs.
Mm-hmm.
And I also appreciate you taking that risk that um, there's urgent social issues out there, and our designs can be
Mm-hmm.
urgent too.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yes,
can
like
be inseparable. Yeah,
this is my voice. Like this is the way that I, speak. So I felt the need to, do it this way in my art and creating.
great. Thank you,
Yeah.
Maxine. Keep going. Keep risking.
Yes. that's that's
Um,
that's the plan. Thank you
um,
so much.
thank you, Maxine.
I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna go back up. I'm gonna go into the class, so I may not be able to stay for the entire
Okay, we'll see
presentation.
you
But
soon. But thank you for popping in.
okay, no problem. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maxine.
All right.
Our next artist, Jenny Park, who is an illustration major. Hi, Jenny.
Hello.
Um, so this drawing that you did, excellent, I know is lifted out of course, a larger narrative, larger story. So can you give us the gist of the story?
So, see, Grover, Percy, and Annabeth get stuck in a place with Medusa, and they're currently hiding to avoid her.
Mhm.
Uh, it's been a while since I read the entire book, but that's basically what's happening right now.
And then tell us a little bit more about the project. Did you have to do multiple frames, tell the whole story, tell a chapter? How extensive did it go?
It's just grabbing a bit of text and then
Mhm.
drawing what um is happening in that text, basically.
That's great. Great. I think you're doing what an illustrator should do is like pull us in, make us curious about those characters and pull us into that world, that story. Um, and I can tell you really thought about composition, light and dark, what goes where. Can you clue us in, for many of us who are not drawers, illustrators, can you clue us into how you come up with an image like this?
I make a lot of thumbnails first, and then when I pick a thumbnail that I like, I do it digitally and I start shading and
Hmm.
see what works.
Mm.
Mm.
So it's good. We have to remember it doesn't come out perfect the first time.
Hmm.
So for you, is it kind of like the writing process? Like there's multiple drafts and then you narrow it down?
Kinda, yeah.
Mm, excellent. I really appreciate placement, your shading, um, and pulling us into that story. So great technique.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Um, our next artist is Venecia Costa, who is an illustration major. And Venecia did this beautiful watercolor. Hello, Venecia.
Hi, how are you?
Did I get the material right? Is it watercolor or just pen and ink?
Yeah, it's watercolor, Newton paint watercolor.
Mm, beautiful. And well, first tell us what drew you to this figure. Why did you choose this particular person?
Um, what drew me to this figure was mostly like the hair bunch that she has, and it was her eyeliner. The eyeliner was just like very mesmerizing for me,
Mm,
and I think this painting was it was just it draws you in a lot. especially with like the high contrast and like the highlights.
Mm. And the other question I had for you is, for you, what's the challenge of drawing the figure? For those of us who are non-drawers, or what would you say are the hurdles to get to this image?
Um, there's a lot. So, a challenge I had was mostly measuring the like getting the exact right measurements for the like the face frame and the neck frame. And also it's trying to make sure that your eyes don't trick you by if you see another color. It's very it is you have to pay attention a lot to the details.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's mostly like the two main issues I go through as
Mm.
like an illustrator.
Right. There's a lot of measuring, almost a lot of calculating, of placement of things, sizes of things.
Mhm.
Is this one image, or is it part of a larger series of models or people?
Well, this is only one image,
Mm.
and it was an assignment from my illustration class last semester. I I might make a few more series of like grayscale portraits maybe in the future.
Excellent. I think you should. I think you should make a whole series. It's beautiful, beautiful work.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Venecia.
Thank you.
Um, our next designer is Taja Hanae Aiken. Hello, Taj.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. Welcome. So I know you're an interior design major,
Hmm.
and this was a really striking image. I was really intrigued what this building was for, what was behind this design. So tell us about your concept.
This was a project that I designed in my third semester, and the basis of the project was to design a place of spirituality, but I myself am not entirely a spiritual person, so I went on to design a place of tranquility, which I designed to be located in North Carolina. Just for the basis that they do create a lot of interior exterior architecture. And the
Mm,
view that you're seeing now is a part of my exterior courtyard that expands onto the interior of my original design. Kind of moving on to why I designed it. I'm not sure if I said I designed a place of tranquility, but because I'm not a spiritual person, I wanted to focus on what it is, as being a New Yorker and releasing the clutter from your everyday life. So I designed this place using very minimal materials such as wood, concrete, and water, just to create a very intimate space within this center that doubles as a yoga meditation studio.
mm,
And within this shot that you see now in the center, this bamboo structure is a CCODC, which is a signifier of time. And within my space, it's completely curved. So the sound of these waterfalls on all three walls and the CCODC mimic through the concrete curves within my space that
mm,
kind of ground the person within the space as well as within the moment, kind of keeping them present and not focusing on everything that's happening outside of the space.
mm. So that's you mean in the sense that the sound of the water is not, it carries into other rooms or carries outward?
Yeah, it carries throughout the whole space. So the
Mm,
way that I've designed the space is it's full of curvilinear concrete walls. And
mm,
so the CCODC reverberates the sound off the concrete wall
mm,
throughout the openings in the space. And the purpose of it, it's called a deer scare, but also the signifier is to keep you within the present. And so it kind of keeps you within that moment entering this meditation space.
beautiful, beautiful design and concept behind that.
Thank you.
Um, and I guess last question, I know you were talking about some of the smaller spaces, but um, forgive me if you've already said this, but I think you had some spaces that were collective and some for individual.
Yeah. So you want me to Yeah, okay. So
Elaborate a little.
upon entry, when you walk in, you're first entered into this smaller vestibule that's emitted with a skylight. And that's kind of where you enter and kind of decompress the stress. And as you continue within this phase, it opens into a larger area that houses the yoga meditation classes. And then as you continue on, there are smaller subdivisions where you can personally meditate if you want to do it on your own time. Or there's another area that's opposite of this view that houses larger yoga classes as well. And then on these two side areas are also smaller reflective spaces. There are benches here, but this is my night view of my space. And these are also smaller reflective areas that really connect you with the waterfalls that are on all three walls, as mentioned, but as well as the natural lighting that's coming through not only these side panel walls, but also the skylights above the CCODC.
Beautiful, beautiful relationships between form and content. I really like also how you've thought about how people navigate that space, um, opportunities for gathering and solitary space. So really beautiful, Taj. I want to go there. I want to
Thank you.
travel there. So excellent, excellent work. Um, so I wanted to take a few minutes to open it up to anyone in the audience that would like to ask an artist, a designer, um, a question they have, um, artists who want to ask questions to other artists or designers.
I'm sorry about my camera. I ended up leaving, but I do have a question about the most recent project. I'm sorry, I didn't remember her name. Yes, that about to the artist.
For Taj, yeah.
Taj. Yes, first of all, Taj, that's absolutely amazing. Like the first time I saw that, I was like, man, like that's inspiring. My
Thank
question to
you.
you is, how do you even start to even like, is that Photoshop? Like, is that Illustrator? Like, how do you even, did you draw it?
It goes on a series of different mediums. I first drew it out initially, and then I took it into my 3D modeling software, which is SketchUp. And
Mm,
then from there, I went on to rendering, which in this case, I believe it's Enscape. And then I took it into Photoshop and did my lighting um, and a little touch ups, and that's the work that I did in terms of that. But it all started with the sketch and some floor plans. So
that's
yeah,
amazing. Like, I didn't know this about myself until recently, but I actually do really admire like architectures, like architects and just like architecture in general. Like I started appreciating it more recently. So yeah, I really like your project.
thank you so much. Yours was great too.
Thank you.
It's great to have artists and designers talking to new artists and designers so you can share ideas. Great. Any other questions for anyone? Zach, when can we see your film debut?
Um,
Or where is your ideal venue for it?
so usually after we finish our films, we edit it, like really take time to edit it, because some usually we don't have enough time to edit, so we just get it done for the end of the semester. So most of us just take a few, months to really get it all together. Um, I'll probably have it maybe in a few weeks. Uh,
And and then jump into film festivals.
um, I don't know yet.
Okay. To be continued.
Is either gonna be that film or the film I'm making this semester, which is my thesis. So either or both, maybe a different time.
Okay. So everyone keep looking for those opportunities, keep promoting your work, new ways to show your work and talk about your work. Um, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Um, just amazing, amazing different kinds of projects and making that is out there, making and designing, filming, painting. So thank you everyone for sharing your work. I want to thank our EOP team. So our counselors, Ms. Fiorincelli and Ms. Cayenne, our director, Ms. Tor Orange, our administrative secretary, Ms. Mulver James, who is instrumental in planning all of our events all year round. I want to thank Zach Echevarria, who was instrumental in helping to plan this event and also made our slideshow. So thank you so much, Zach. I want to thank JC Campbell from the media department and also Austin Thomas from Exhibitions, who lent us their monitor to extend our exhibition into our corridor. And thank you again, everyone. And we'll play our slideshow once more to see the work, and look out for the Instagram. Many students have included their Instagrams in the slideshow so you can see future artwork and designs. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Keep making exciting work, artists and designers.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thanks for
Thank
curating.
you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. Have a
You
great
too.
Thank you all
night.
for having us.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.